Don, here's an attempt to answer some of your questions. I'm assuming that you have at least 30 minutes with a student when you teach them. Um, but you ask how I made my list. And if you go here and just say, for example, opening hour one, in every hour I have this same printout available. If you tap it, this is the list of patterns as I teach them. The method to the madness is this: the first 2 hours have questions utilizing do, did, will, don't, didn't, won't. The third hour we begin to introduce questions with the verb to be. Are you going? Will you be going? Won't you be going? In the fourth hour are all the exceptions to the questions. When do, did, will, and the verb to be are not used. So, having introduced these patterns, I've also introduced them to the fact of how questions are made. Most students aren't very adept at making questions. So I have to teach them how to make the questions. We then go through the rest of the patterns. When we begin to get to hour 16 and afterwards, we begin to combine patterns. And once they have a basis in this and familiar, then you can add a second pattern that it can be used with. For example, how long ago did you have to go? So that's two patterns. How long ago and did you have to go? There's two patterns. So it's like a pyramid. At the beginning, it's just simple patterns relaying simple emotions. Then as we go on, we combine patterns together which combine different emotions and different movements of action. So that's basically the reason why I have it this way. At the beginning, you'll see this how-to section, and briefly what that is right here, how-to. These are simple general formats on how to apologize, how to say thank you, how to give permission, how to ask a favor, things about money. These PDFs are simply meant as handouts on, you don't have to do any work with them. You just hand them out and, ask them how they ask about money and see what they say. And you'll find out a lot of them are making mistakes on how money is made, or they're only using one way when there's about 8 different ways to do it. For example, hour one. In 30 minutes, I think that it should be easy to introduce 6 patterns here. We're introducing no difficult vocabulary. I would keep the verb very simple. Just keep it at study and eat. Because the vocabulary is not what's important. It's the pattern that's important. So just keep the verb very simple. You can even remain it the same. Now, this introduces them to the pattern, but every section for the first 20 so hours, I have this use section, and this is where how I would teach them. All the printouts that you see in the video, including these flashcards, can be found in these PDFs. For example, the flashcards for the captions, you can print out a page at a time. This is hour 2, these are hour 4. So the kids, when they're learning, are attuned to the fact that you have a methodology. We're going through the patterns. We're combining one right after another. We're reviewing them as we learn. In hour 6, we're still reviewing hour 1. After I teach them, I expect that they would spend some time with the patterns. They can do it either with where this is printed out here, as you can see, or they can go down to where there's a photo and patterns, all 6 patterns studied in the hour are utilized asking questions about these photos. At the bottom, there's always teacher's tips, which is just my bit of rambling on how I would teach that hour. So it's basically, I think, you can do this within 30 minutes. You're not teaching them the vocabulary. You're using just, in this section here, do, did, will, don't, didn't, won't. Those are the only ways you can make questions with them. How many times can you say, I want to? They'll get bored, move on to another one and challenge them. I've done the same thing. This is where I taught my niece, where this has Korean built into it, but it's the printouts are the same that I use in the same hour in this English section here. Most of these run about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. The first part of it is always reviewing what we've learned up to that point. So at the beginning of the hour, I would be reviewing hours 1 to 5 to see if she's stumbling, if she needs help in any of those. So as we go through these, it just builds up like a pyramid. You begin to get the simple patterns, and then you just move up to them. They're responsible and have to be motivated to learn the language. I can show them the way. The old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. There's also podcasts available for them. In the United States, there's about 40,000 podcasts on a variety of different subjects. I only became aware really of podcasts about 2 years ago when my son happened to mention it to me. And these podcasts are video content, the same thing that you find in every one of the videos I have in the lessons. There's a variety of different platforms. Apple has a platform, the Android have a platform, but basically you're accessing the same patterns, the same videos. And it's helpful to, if you don't have, if you're riding a bus and there's no internet, if you download the lesson, you can listen to it. It's all free. So I think that within a 30-minute period, you should be able to introduce these patterns. Now, I've been doing it a number of years and become quite good at doing it. It will take you, if you follow it, a little bit of time to get used to it. But I hope it's been helpful. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me.